I'm Eli Sha. I'm a musician, producer, and DJ, and I'm one of the co-founders of Paragon Playground. Just life experiences in general, good, the bad, the ugly, things I see, things I experience, challenges, things you overcome. When you hear stories of other people overcoming adversity, or just seeing something or feeling something you really like, I think those are all things to draw inspiration from. My first instrument growing up was guitar, so I think naturally I'll noodle around on the guitar, and sometimes something will come and I'll be like, ooh, I like that, and I'll hit record, and sometimes something comes out of that. Other times maybe I have something in mind and it starts with making a little drum loop and then going from there. So I started DJing actually during COVID. My cousin used to own a record store in the valley called Sound Station. Big vinyl guy, he still collects vinyl, and I was getting into music production during COVID. Obviously I was already playing instruments from a young age, but really starting to get into the DAW of Ableton started during COVID. And some people knew that I had this vinyl that my cousin would give me, and I was trying to get his Technics from him, but he's like, nah, I can't get rid of them, I'm using them. But he would throw me some vinyl, so I started messing around with vinyl a little bit, and then people were like, why don't you just start DJing? And one thing led to another, and here we are, DJing and doing our thing. I would say it's probably a tie between LIB, Lightning in a Bottle, and Burning Man. The Vermont, some private parties there have some amazing production. Sounds obviously a classic in the dance music space, but you can have a lot of fun in a warehouse as well. We're lucky to be living in a busy city. I follow some labels, I follow artists, and then kind of know who similar artists are, or artists they collaborate. And it's almost like a spiderweb effect of, somebody, I really mess with someone, you're gonna see who their collaborators are, and I'm gonna go start doing the same thing for them and their collaborators. And it's just kind of like a never-ending digging process. So I spend probably a large part of that digging for new music. I like to play things for people maybe they haven't heard yet, or that's new, because it also excites me. Like to throw in, remixes and bootlegs that maybe will never be released for whatever copyright issues, or they're just never cleared. But they're still amazing songs, and people can dance to them and have a great time to them. Yeah, after the process of digging, you got to do the record box thing. I do some degree of planning, for sure. I think it depends on the event and the party. Obviously the bigger it is, and if somebody's paying you for a specific type of sound, I will cater a little bit to the party, but still only play what I would want to listen to myself. Yeah, sometimes it's also fun to kind of be loosey-goosey and go B2B with people, and just have a large catalog within my record box and USBs, so that you can kind of do whatever on the fly. And I think the key to that is organization and record box, which is tedious and not very fun. It's not very sexy, but it kind of allows you to do that and have the options to have the really intricate plan sets, as well as the freestyle, just go with the flow and the feel. And I think they're both great. I have to say dog on this one, but by default, I was born really allergic to cats. I wouldn't say it's a point of contention, but it's like an ongoing joke with my business partner because he has a few cats, and I have to take like Zyrtec every time I go to his house. So we're always like, are you coming to my place? You coming to yours? And I'm like, well, I don't feel like taking a Zyrtec today, so I have to go with dogs for that one. Probably Burning Man. I mean, Burning Man's much more than just a party. It's definitely a wild party experience, a very unique and impactful one for sure. Yeah, for my first burn, definitely the Taiko sunrise did not disappoint. I still remember like the exact point where the sun rose and the exact song they were playing with all the art cards linked up and pyrotechnics going. It was crazy that something like that exists out in the middle of nowhere. So Eli Sha, my middle name is actually Elisha or Alicia, however you want to say it. As a kid, I was super, I guess, self-conscious about it because people would be like, oh, that's a girl's name, Alicia. And as a kid, I hated it. But as an adult, I went and I was traveling and I met this like far out guru, spiritual guy, interesting man to talk to. But he kind of randomly asked me, what's your name? So I tell him my name, and he says, what's your last name? And I tell him my last name. And he's like, no, but what's your middle name? And I was like, well, I don't really use my middle name. He's like, well, why don't you tell me? And I tell him this whole story of how basically I was self-conscious. I don't like my middle name. It was supposed to be spelled with a J instead of an SHA. He's like, well, it's not an accident. And I was like, well, it was, and like people say it's a girl's name or whatever as a kid. And because of that, I never used it. I was always self-conscious. And he was like, did you know in religious texts, Elisha or Alicia, spelled with the SHA, was the prodigy of Elijah with the J, who ended up doing more than his mentor. And I never thought that the SHA was the real spelling in the world. But when I found that out, I thought it was kind of cool, kind of brought like some acceptance, and I didn't have any like self-consciousness about it anymore for whatever reason. As I started DJing, I wasn't sure the name I should use, but I wanted something like authentic to me. My cousin kind of was joking, whoa, why don't you like split your name and do Eli Sha? She said it kind of jokingly, but I was kind of like, that's kind of good. And here we are, Eli Sha. I think there has to be two actually, but one of them would be my first drum set as a kid. Even though where I live now, I can't really play them how they should be, but I still keep them. I love them. I'll use them to make samples, but I don't see myself getting rid of it. It's just there's like sentimental attachment. I traveled my first time really solo traveling to Europe. I went over there wanting to like meet a couple guitar manufacturers just to kind of see, maybe buy one, maybe not. Yeah, I ended up, it was like the holidays and I wasn't expecting anyone to get back to me, and two different manufacturers got back to me. Shout out to Nick Huber and the guys at Aristides. Two different companies. One's in the Netherlands and the other's in Germany. But they both emailed me back. They said, come on in, we'd love to give you a private tour. Both were an amazing experience. I ended up ordering, couldn't bring one home because they're all like very special ordered guitars, but I got a Aristides custom made, and now I'll see Pasquale at NAMM usually when I go every year, and we say hi, and hopefully I see him when I'm over there again for ADE or whenever I'm in Europe. guitar holds like a meaning because of the trip was my first solo travel, and the drums because they were like really the first instrument that I wanted to play that I wasn't forced to play. Guitar I was forced, something that I always wanted, and I like after guitar was like something that my parents gave into after a little bit of a fight, but yeah, I'm happy that they did. You know, when they made the electric guitar, I'm sure the acoustic guitarists were like, oh, you should be able to do that, you know, on your own or whatever. It's easier to play, the frets are closer together, whatever the case. Like, technology is always going. Or, you know, like the drum machines, right? Like, now seeing live sets with drum machines people like, because it's more than just DJing. Yeah, I think there's a place for all of them. That's a tough question, and everyone who loves making music right now. I think like it's hard to live through it, to know that it's happening, because you want to think that like humans won't be replaced, but I don't think you can stop progress. I think it's going to be used as a tool in some form. Maybe it elevates production of certain producers who know how to like prompt and really understand production. Maybe they'll be able to prompt better than somebody who doesn't know anything about the theory or arrangement or, you know, various musical elements that take time to learn. I don't know, it's tough because it's definitely going to replace certain aspects of jobs within the scene, but it's also like mixing and mastering, you could say it's going to be replacing a lot of those jobs. However, it's kind of like certain mix and masters are to taste. It's not that there's right or wrong, it's just like preference. So maybe it gets to a place where it could recognize the preference of prompts of certain people, but then, you know, that goes into the whole legal battle of the AI models and how they're being trained and the permissions, and, you know, that's like a whole legal thing that I don't really know about too much, but I know it's ongoing and will probably be a large deciding factor on you know, how that affects all of us in the music space. But yeah, I think sometimes it can be used as a tool. I think it'll be used as a crutch for some, and then obviously, like, I think there'll be the negative that'll be used to steal and rip off artists without permission. But that happens now, and, you know, even in dance music, so many bootleg remixes that everybody loves, like, you don't necessarily get permission for those either. That is 100% a no for me. So I was born in LA, grew up in the greater LA area, mostly in the San Fernando and Conejo Valley. Definitely more time in the valley. From what my parents tell me, I don't really remember. Like at like, you know, 1 or 2 years old, they said I used to like take all the pots and pans out and just start smacking them with like the sticks, like the spoons. I have no memory of that, but there's I guess pictures of me, and that's what they tell me I was doing. My mom was very religious. My dad isn't at all. It's a very weird dynamic to grow up in, but he would listen to like a lot of classic rock, you know, in 60s, 70s music. My mom, since she was very religious, felt that everything was, you know, you shouldn't be listening to it, basically. And so she would kind of like, if we did get music, she would take it, whether it's CDs, like, you know, yeah, we had to hide our music because she really didn't want us listening to anything besides religious music. So, I mean, maybe I am very passionate about music because there was that aspect of like, I wanted to listen to it. There was like a natural inclination towards it. They learning an instrument was different. They very much wanted me to learn my guitar, and when I was interested in drums, they supported that as well. But even that, I would, if my mom found out I was learning, like I remember I was like in the middle of learning a Black Sabbath song in middle school, and she found the sheet music. She like took it and told the guitar teacher, don't teach him any more of that. And I was like, Mom, I never learned the rest of the song. Yeah, I think like some of that probably has some things to do why I'm very passionate about music and finding new music, and I have like a hunger towards hearing all kinds of music, and like all kinds of music influences me. And I think a lot of that probably shows up in some of the music I make, and even when I DJ. I kind of like to blend genres. 100% Ableton, best DAW. I'll die on that hill. Yeah, my guitar, my drums, I really love my hand pan. When I started producing and taking music more seriously, I had seen an old video and I always wanted one, and I was stoked that I finally got one by a local person that makes them. So it felt like a little bit artisan, special, that it was handmade by somebody who put a lot of care into it. And yeah, my DAW for sure, like Ableton all the way, baby.